From smuggling to killing, casinos to illegal substances, the mafia has done it all. And for the most part, men have been at the center of the discussion. But there have been women, female mafia mobsters, who were as iconic as they were notorious. Women who controlled global crime syndicates and had armies of men at their beck and call. In this video, I will show you the most notorious 5 female mobsters in history. Let's dive in.
I wonder who that is at the bottom left.
Virginia Hill, 1916 to 1966. Virginia knew how to keep her mouth shut.
Do you ever get any money from any other person whom we might call a gangster other than Siegel?
No.
Did you ever get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas?
of those fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, and none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the Fichettes?
No.
You
I
think-
don't even speak to the... I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like him?
She
No.
good.
Born into poverty
good,
on the
y'all.
26th of August, 1916, Ani Virginia Hill
On my
wanted
birthday.
to be rich. So when her divorced mother moved to Georgia, she followed before moving to Chicago, where she became a waitress and a lady of the night. She eventually got into the world of crime. By 1933, at the age of 17, she was the mistress to several mob bosses in the East Coast, moving money and messages between Chicago and New York, Los Angeles and Las Vegas. When the police
17?
tried to get her to turn on the mob, Virginia invoked omerta, the mafia's code of silence.
It's got many different meanings, but what did omerta mean to you?
It meant open your mouth when you're in a dentist's office. Don't talk.
I don't care who betrayed me. I don't care who ratted on me. I don't care how bad the life was. I took an oath. That's what omerta is. You took the blood oath. You agreed to keep your mouth shut. You knew you weren't entering fantasy land. It was a criminal life. We knew what we were getting involved in, and we have to shut our mouth.
Her loyalty not only earned the mafia's trust, it also stole the heart of a notorious yet visionary mafia boss named Bugsy Siegel. Bugsy Siegel
my
was
boy.
responsible for what Las Vegas is today, and back when he met Virginia Hill, he ran several casinos and a bootlegging empire. Above all,
Bugsy
he
was
loved
nothing to play
Virginia
with,
deeply
y'all.
enough to name his biggest casino after her. Unfortunately, Siegel was shot dead in Virginia's Vegas home on the 20th of June, 1947. But strangely enough,
Damn.
Virginia had traveled to Paris 4 days before the shooting, leading many to believe that she knew there was a hit, and she had just abandoned Bugsy to his fate.
Damn.
By
Probably did.
1951, Virginia found herself under national scrutiny when a senator named Estes T. Kefauver launched an investigation into the mafia. Once again, Virginia kept her lips sealed.
You still bet the horse race?
The only
She
thing
don't play.
Now, I don't bet anything. Now
She's
I'm
solid.
afraid I'll win, and then they'll say I made more money than I did.
You mean you just don't want to win anymore?
I don't want any more.
After denying every allegation, she escaped to Europe, where she lived far from the American press, with her son Peter and her husband Henry Hauser, an Austrian skier. On the 24th of March 1966, she was found dead from an overdose of sleeping pills, with her coat neatly folded beside her and a note that described how tired she was of life. Since her passing, Hollywood has worshipped
Somebody
her, and
assassinated
today,
her.
many in the world of crime still look up to the mob queen.
Virginia Hill,
Stephanie
y'all. Don't
St.
forget.
Clair, 1897 to
Stephanie St.
1969.
Clair.
Life in the
She had to
20th
be like in
century was
Louisiana.
brutal for black women.
I
and
bet it
yet,
was Louisiana,
this
somewhere
woman
down south.
managed to rise to the top. Not much is known about Stephanie St. Clair's background, but many believe she was born on an island off the shores of France in the late 1800s. From childhood, Stephanie
French.
St. Clair found that she had a strong will and cared very little about consequences. So on the 22nd of July, 1911, when she was only 13, she hopped on a boat bound for New York City. Soon, St. Clair got into the booming gambling business in Harlem. It was the mid-1920s, and gambling in Harlem was a black man's racket. And yet, St. Clair was able to get those men to work for her. They even became fiercely loyal to her. At her peak, the woman was worth $500,000, $8 million in today's money. But then, a notorious white bootlegger named Dutch Schultz, with ties to the mafia and corrupt politicians, chose to take over Harlem's black gambling business. He issued an ultimatum: sell your business to me, or pay royalties. But while everyone panicked, St. Clair published her response to his ultimatum in the papers. "I'm not afraid of Dutch Schultz or any other living man. He'll never touch me. I will kill Schultz if he sets foot in Harlem. He is a rat. The policy game is my game." This led
She
to a
was not
full-scale
playing
war,
with the mob.
but St. Clair was the one who struck first. She organized
yeah?
black gamblers to undermine Schultz's associates and intimidate white gamblers working for him. She even took out ads encouraging black Harlemites to patronize only black gambling outfits. Furious Schultz retaliated by issuing threats, murdering her men, and placing a bounty on her head. At one point, he even sent an assassin to take her life, but St. Clair killed the hitman. Eventually, it was the mafia who assassinated Schultz for an unrelated dispute, and St. Clair, in her eccentric fashion, sent a telegram to her fallen enemy, signed, "Madam Queen of Policy." It read, "As ye sow, so shall you reap."
Whoa!
From then on, St. Clair would get into a weird one-year trial period marriage with this man, Bishop Amaru Almu Minin Sophie Abdul Hamid, and would later
Oh
terminate
my
her
God.
subscription with
Jibber
3 bullets
jabber.
after she caught him cheating. After spending 10 years in prison for the crime, St. Clair stepped back from crime and died poor. Today, she's remembered as a gangster, civil rights advocate, fashionista, and businesswoman who successfully took on one of the men of her era and won.
That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy,
Sister Pink.
man. Hold on, man. So, Miss St. Clair, she died poor after being one of the biggest women mobsters in her time. She went to jail because she caught her man cheating. And then when she got out, she was poor and died. Just like forgotten memory. Like, that's crazy. But they somehow looked her up and found out who she was, which gives me the ultimate belief that somebody pretty much took over her businesses and shunned her out when she probably got out. And you know how that be. I mean, it was a dog-eat-dog world back in the day. But, hey, for her to have 500,000, that's 8 million back in the day with the mobsters, and she going at it with them. Oh, yeah, she was doing her thing, y'all. Shout out to Miss St. Clair for sure. For sure. But we back at it. Let's get it, silly butt.
1949 to 2014. Sister Ping was born on the 9th of January.
Recently.
Sister Ping was born on the 9th of January, 1949, in a poor farming village in northern China. By the time she was 15, she began taking care of her family when her father illegally immigrated to the US. He stayed there for 13 years before he was apprehended and deported to China in 1977. In China, Ping's father began smuggling people into the US, introducing his daughter to a career that would come to define her future. In 1974,
They
Ping
doing
moved
that
to
shit like
Hong
crazy
Kong,
now.
became successful,
been
and
smuggling
opened a
people in here.
factory in Shenzhen, China. By June 1981, with the help of an elderly couple, Ping successfully applied to be a nanny in New York. Along with her family, she smuggled herself into Chinatown, Manhattan on the 17th of November, 1981. There she opened a shop called Takshun Variety Store, where she appeared to care for elderly immigrants from her village. In truth, it was a front for her one-woman human smuggling operation, where she moved many of her villagers from China into the US using forged identification documents, commercial airlines, and cargo ships. These illegal immigrants were charged $35,000, and Chinatown's most violent thugs enforced payment. In 1989, Canadian police discovered her racket and arrested her. She served only 4 months, and upon her release, she got right back to business. There was a high demand during this period because the US government offered Chinese students present in the United States at the time of the Tiananmen Square protest of 1989 an opportunity to stay. So thousands of illegal immigrants flooded towards the country, and Sister Ping was there to lend aid, at a price of course. Meanwhile, the shipments with illegal immigrants capsized, killing everyone on board, and her name came under the authorities' radar. By the time she was eventually caught, the U.S. Department of Justice declared at her sentencing that Sister Ping was one of the first and ultimately most successful human smugglers of all time. At her peak, she was worth around $40 million. She was arrested in Hong Kong while using a fake passport. A month later, she was extradited to the U.S. and handed a 35-year sentence. On the 24th of April, 2014, age 65, Sister Ping passed away in jail. And at her funeral in Manhattan, thousands of mourners flocked the streets, showing you just how influential
She
Sister
definitely
King was.
changed the game for them, for sure.
Asunta Maresca, 1935 to 2021. From a small town in Campania, the Maresca family had a terrible reputation that stretched across Naples. The head of the family, Alberto Maresca, was a notorious smuggler of contraband cigarettes. His brother Vincenzo had killed his older brother, Gerardo, in cold blood. And the entire family were known as the Lightning Knives because of how good they were with switchblades. This was the family that Asunta was born into, the only girl out of 4 boys. By the time she was 19, everyone wanted to marry her because of how beautiful she was. On the 27th of April 1955, she settled for a Camorra boss known as Pasquale Simonetti, who dealt in smuggled goods. But just 3 months after their marriage, Pasquale was gunned down in Naples Central Square by a hitman employed by a jealous rival named
He was
Camarista
jealous because he
Antonio
got the
Capicito.
shorty do
Asunta was devastated, 6 months pregnant and thirsty for revenge. So she drove to Naples with her youngest brother, Ciro, pulled out a revolver and fired 29 bullets into Antonio, killing him like he killed her husband, in cold blood and broad daylight. When asked why she shot him 29 times, Asunta said that she thought she would miss. Her case was taken to trial in 1959, and it got the attention of the world when she famously declared in the middle of the trial proceeding, "I would do it again." The whole courtroom burst into cheers. And men, once again, began
Weak
sending
as
marriage
hell.
proposals while her trial was ongoing. Eventually, she got a 13-year sentence, gave birth to her first child, Pasquale, in prison, and was ultimately
Damn,
pardoned
she got
in
10 years for killing
1965
her
after
husband,
spending
her
10 years
hitman,
inside.
had a baby in jail.
After this,
and
Asunta returned to Camorra and got married to another Camorra boss
this
named
girl got
Umberto
perks off
Amatoro.
killing
Her son was
her
a teenager at
husband,
the
hitman.
time, hated Amatoro, and the latter threatened to kill him. In 1974, Pasquale was abducted and killed, and Asunta blamed Amatoro for killing her son. The two separated in 1982, and from here on, Asunta devoted all of her energy to the Camorra and her family's business. She took active roles, organized rallies, and publicly defied the boss of a rival Camorra clan after he imposed taxes on her family's business and almost killed her brother, Ciro. In 1982, she and her estranged lover, Amatoro, were accused of killing a forensic scientist. Although she denied involvement, she was given a 4-year sentence. After her release, Asunta lived in solitude till December 2021, dying a month before her
damn,
87th
2021,
birthday.
that was just recently, yo.
Maria
She's still
Licciardi,
alive.
1951.
The last but
Maria
not least.
Licciardi was born into crime. Her entire family were staunch members of the Camorra, and her father was a well-known local boss, also known as Guapo. Her older brother, Gennaro Licciardi, formed the infamous Licciardi clan, and when it was time to marry, Maria was wedded
Camorra
off to a Guapo in the Camorra. But a series of
mafia, whatever
unfortunate
they are, they
events
don't play.
happened in her family. First, her brother Gennaro died. Then her other 2 brothers who took over were arrested. And her husband, who then took leadership of the Licciardi clan, was also arrested by the police. This left the Licciardi clan without a male head. So Maria took power, becoming the first female Camarista to rule the Licciardi clan. She also took leadership over a powerful alliance that her older brother had established among other clans in the Secondigliano district in Naples. Maria was able to settle a lot of unrest in the criminal underworld and shut down the Guapos who wanted to take control. Maria also found a way to expand the coalition that her brother created until there were at least 20 clans. She also made them more organized, secretive, sophisticated. However, the biggest change Maria brought to the Camorra was the introduction of prostitution, which her deceased brother had strongly opposed. Under Maria, local, mostly underage girls trying to escape poverty were brought from the Albanian mafia for $2,000 and forced into prostitution by the Camorra. Maria also hooked the girls on drugs and ran a system where these girls, now addicted to the substance, spent all of their money buying Maria's
Yeah, one hell of a
drugs.
system,
Throughout
didn't they?
much of the late 20th century, no one in the law enforcement agencies knew that Maria Licciardi existed. As a result, through her peak, she never got arrested, charged, or even mentioned by the papers. Meanwhile, the Licciardi clan was seen as a charitable organization in her town,
They was
giving out
killing
food and money to poor neighborhoods. But all of that changed when a tip led to her first arrest in January 1998. Her lawyers did a great job clearing her name, and she faded into obscurity. Business would go on as usual until a rebellious clan went against Maria's wishes, choosing to sell unrefined heroin to her customers and leading to the deaths of many. As the police cracked down on them, a war broke out that forced Maria to respond with violence. In the aftermath of war, there were 120 casualties in Naples. But even worse, now the world was aware of Maria's existence. Over the 3 years that followed, Maria avoided arrest, running her clan with an iron fist and assassinating rebellious heads of other clans. On the 14th of June 2001, Licciardi was arrested by the Naples police and sent to jail for 9 years. In prison, she continued running the Licciardi clan. She still does today. The authorities know that she's the only thing standing between the relative peace in the Camorra and the complete mayhem that would unleash in her absence.
Sheesh.
Hey, thanks for watching. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. See you next time.
Raising hell. And they basically saying that she's the last thing that's standing in between peace. So I guess whenever she kicked the bucket, if you know what I mean, I guess they feel like they can have peace over there. But until then, she gonna keep running her bread up on them boys. But yeah, it's your boy DtaeNoDinero, man. You know how I do it. We out. Let's get it, silly butt.